Every day, the hare taunted the tortoise.
You're so slow, how do you get anywhere?
Until the tortoise got fed up and replied,
I get there faster than you think, and I'll prove it. Race me.
The fox agreed to judge the marathon and the runners were off. Soon, with a comfortable lead, the hare took a nap to deepen the tortoise's humiliation. But the hare overslept and the tortoise won. And the moral of the story is, slow and steady wins the race. Fuck that noise. You're a hare, but you're not lazy and stupid. Hey hooligan, welcome to Refined Print Episode 1, Mindset by Carol Dweck. I'm Sam, and in this series I review and heckle various non-fiction books so you can laugh and learn along with me. When was the last time you thought about the nature versus nurture debate? Do you think your intelligence comes from your DNA or your hard work? What about your job skills? Your creativity? Your charisma? And why should you care? What if I told you the keys to success in all areas of life hinge on just one belief?
This is the great secret of life.
Hey! No, I said we're not doing that! Today's book is Mindset by Columbia, Harvard, and Stanford professor of psychology and aunt who's going to need a lot more wine to get through Thanksgiving dinner, Carol Dweck. And while this won't get into the woo-woo of The Secret's law of attraction or other New Age ideas, I have to admit, what comes next sounds like an infomercial.
Our new product turns failure into success, makes your work exciting and your teams more effective, gives shy people confidence, overcomes depression, fixes your children's behavior problems, makes your coworkers like and trust you, and shields you from movie and TV spoilers on social media. Now, how much would you pay? But wait, there's more. Call now and we'll throw in knowing why your boss is such an asshole and how to find a better job.
But however hyperbolic this sounds, it's not a panacea. It takes real work. Professor Dweck started her research on the mindset model in the early 70s, and many other researchers have hit around the edges of it. Angela Duckworth showed that people with grit who stick to challenges are more successful in the long run, but didn't explain why some people are that way. Roger Martin in The Opposable Mind shows how grit and integrative thinking lead to innovation, but also doesn't show how people become that way. Martin Seligman's seminal research on explanatory style was key in developing cognitive behavioral therapy, and while it shows how our beliefs drive behavior, it still in many ways addresses the symptoms rather than the cause. So here's the root of the problem. Batman versus Superman. It had it all, didn't it? How could people not like it? While Batman's abilities come from years of training, all of Superman's powers come from just being born Kryptonian. He didn't have to work for any of them. He just crash-landed in Kansas as a baby and was immediately throwing cars around.
Martha, Clark, Kent, are you listening to what I'm saying?
Lois could never have Superman's baby. What about her womb? Do you think it's strong enough to carry his child? His Kryptonian biological makeup is enhanced by Earth's yellow sun. If Lois gets a tan, the kid could kick right through her stomach.
So in the nature versus nurture debate, Superman is all nature, and Batman is all nurture. Dweck calls these fixed or growth mindsets. As Americans, we imagine our heroes like Superman. LeBron James' dominance on the court isn't because he worked hard. He was just born to play basketball, right? Wasn't Bill Gates just born smart? Wasn't Beyonce born to sing? Isn't it in their DNA? Of course it is. If you want smart kids, you marry a smart person. That's just science. And when has an obsession with heredity ever been a problem, right?
When royal inbreeding went wrong.
We chose royals because they mistakenly thought mixing with their own kind would produce a kind of super offspring of pure blood.
King Tut.
His life was a perpetual suffering. He had some aesthetic setbacks too. In a large overbite, cleft palate, and a bent spine. 7 vertebrae in his neck that were fused together. Mad King George, and it's thought his madness might have been the result of inbreeding. It was happening all over Europe. Habsburg inbreeding, a house with a very shallow gene pool, always on the verge of death, but repeatedly baffling Christendom by continuing to live. He could barely speak because he had something called the Habsburg lip.
He had a single testicle, black as coal.
Princess Nakianenes, it's said in Hawaii, incest was a privilege. Lots of people related to the 19th century British queen bled out hemophilia. It was even called the royal disease. It spread, of course, because all these royals were inbreeding. Kentucky, USA, methemoglobinemia turned the Fugate family blue.
Even if we assume the problems of inbreeding are a fluke, we're just plain wrong about how our heroes came to be. A wealth of research shows that even people we call savants or prodigies or gifted kids aren't made by their DNA like Superman. They get there like Batman gets to Carnegie Hall.
Hey, do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, man. Practice.
Before comedy, I engineered software for 20 years. Coworkers often said they didn't understand how I was so skilled, and it wouldn't be entirely inaccurate to say it was because of my autism. Autistic kids often have savant skills, but we're only that way because we're obsessive about our interests. Sometimes that means developing impressive job skills, and other times it means being a walking encyclopedia of useless train trivia. So, we have those skills because we train like Batman. But what happens if we all want to be Superman? What happens when we all think our abilities come from our DNA? Here's a thought experiment loosely taken from the book. Two kids take a test at school and they both get a low grade, a C. We'll call them Superboy and Batboy. No, that's better. Batboy has a nurture or growth mindset and believes his abilities come from hard work. How does Batboy handle the low grade? He decides he didn't study enough, goes back to the Batcave, studies the questions he got wrong on this test, and he studies them more before the next test. Superboy has a nature or fixed mindset. He thinks we're all like Superman, just born to be whatever we are. Superboy believes no matter how hard he works, he'll only ever be as smart as the genes his parents gave him, something he has no control over. So how does someone with a fixed mindset like Superboy handle a low grade? Unfortunately, Superboy decides it means he's stupid, and there's nothing he can do about it. And since he thinks there's no point in studying, he gets depressed and buries himself in a gallon of fudge ripple ice cream. I'm gonna get personal for a moment. As an autistic person, few things piss me off more than the parents of autistic kids. Many times I've read blogs or seen videos where parents talk about receiving their child's autism diagnosis and bawling their eyes out as they accept the inevitable that their child will never have a job or a spouse. I'm autistic and was a software engineer for 20 years, married twice with 3 kids, and have had 4 threesomes. And I know, because Google, people with much more obvious autistic presentation than me have held down jobs and relationships. Yes, these things are difficult for autistic people, but it's your job as a parent to find those success stories so you can help your child. So how did you find a threesome? Oh no, it's not for me. I'm asking for my son. Getting back to the book, remember Superboy's fixed mindset means he believes our intelligence is all about our biological parents. You either get it or you don't. You can't change it because it's all in your DNA.
Is it possible for everybody?
No, it's not. You have to be born lucky, and you have to have the right genes.
Well, I think I was born with a drive for success. I had a father who was successful. You know, I have a certain gene. I'm a gene believer.
Genetically, I mean, I think you're probably a believer in that. A lot of people say that's sort of the most important thing. My uncle, Dr. John Trump at MIT. Good genes, very good genes, okay?
You know, I had a good gene pool, so I was pretty much driven.
Over the years, Trump has credited his genes for his success in life so frequently that it's clear this is more than just a rhetorical tick.
Genes.
If you have a fixed mindset and believe that you're just the sum of your DNA, then you also believe that success only comes if it comes easily on the first try. No second chances, no second drafts, no retaking the test. When you think success hinges on who your parents are, and you obviously can't change that, then you think a bad grade is a permanent mark. And there's no sense in trying again. If Superman can't lift something, there's no do-over. This might sound odd, but it's true. At 14, my oldest daughter loved writing stories, but she hadn't written anything in 8 months. Why? In her words, there are no second drafts. If it's good, it'll be perfect on the first try. People with fixed mindsets consistently underachieve like this. They avoid work when they can, because if they work, they might fail or make a mistake. They can't let anyone see them make mistakes because they think a mistake is permanent. Any mistake means they're not the Superman they claim to be.
I will work so hard.
I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
Want to stay in the White House and work my ass off. Obama, it was reported today, played 250 rounds of golf. Everything's executive order, because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf.
I've also gotten older, and I'm working a hell of a lot harder than I've ever worked before, that I can tell you.
When I look at some of these trade deals, I say, how could this have happened? And the truth is, it was laziness.
President Trump has spent roughly 60% of his working hours in unstructured executive time over the last 3 months. This is according to a trove of internal White House schedules obtained by Axios.
A Harvard Business School study found that top CEOs carve out about a quarter of their day for this kind of creative thinking. So we should ask ourselves and our presidents, are we using the two types of time wisely? Is scheduled time crisp and informative? Is free time generating insights? Reports from inside the administration suggest structured time is chaotic, and free time, sometimes occupying nearly 60% of the day, often coincides with television-inspired tweets.
All this live television, it's always live for me. With me, everything's live. One mistake, and it's no good. But we just can't make mistakes, right? So we don't make mistakes. Go ahead, Ken.
Chuck Canterbury.
So as an individual, your mindset can be the difference between working hard and crippling procrastination. What do these mindsets mean for the rest of the world? With a growth mindset, everyone is an equal on their own journey. Great things are achieved together, and you have lots to teach and learn from those around you. With a fixed mindset, there are two kinds of people.
Winners aren't losers. By Donald J. Trump.
Winners aren't losers. They're winners, like me. A loser's a loser. Which one will you be? Winners do deals, and winners get rich, while sad little losers just sit there and bitch. Could be a big fella. Now, here are some frogs I do not like at all. We must kick these frogs out and then build a wall. Oh, the buildings you'll build, or the wealth you'll amass, or the people around you all kissing your ass. There are two kinds of people. Which one will you be? A loser, like them? Would you like to finish? Or a winner, like me?
A growth mindset tells you it's not about winning or losing. It's about how you play the game. Failure is just an event. You get to decide what it means and how to learn from it. A fixed mindset tells you the world is all winners and losers, so obviously you want to be a winner. This makes your ego super fragile. You can't let anyone see you fail because that would make you a loser. And because you think you can't improve, you also think it marks you forever.
President Trump hired a firm to rig online polls.
$50,000 for having helped Michael Cohen rig online polls in Donald Trump's favor before the presidential campaign, giving him a blue Walmart bag containing between $12,000 and $13,000 in cash and a boxing glove that Mr. Cohen said had been worn by a Brazilian mixed martial arts fighter.
Threatening these schools with civil and criminal actions if Mr. Trump's grades or SAT scores were ever disclosed.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
This is a thing Trump has been known to do.
Marilyn Lockheed.
The coverage of Tim Apple has apparently gotten under Trump's skin. Told a group of donors at Mar-a-Lago that he actually said Tim Cook Apple, like really fast. The absurd lie was so blatant that he came up with a news story this morning, quote, I quickly referred to Tim plus Apple as Tim Apple. That's an easy way to save time and words. How is he still writing about this?
And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
How do you ensure success with a growth mindset? Learn from your mistakes, try different strategies, and ask others for help when you're stumped. What about a fixed mindset? Learning or improving aren't options, and even asking for help could be a blow to your ego because that's an admission that you can't hack it. So how do you ensure you're a winner when you can't learn or get help? The first option is blame others. And if blame shifting doesn't work, you have to resort to lying, cheating, stealing, and taking credit for others' achievements.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
a government photographer edited photos of Donald Trump's inauguration crowd.
The National Park Service that was not going to release these, by the way, had it not been for a Freedom of Information Act request.
Even the president's annual physical has become weird and fantastical. Height, 6'3". Here's another man who's 6'2".
Gizmodo revealed that President Trump posts altered photos to Facebook that make him look thinner. Real? Fake.
You can see in the change between the two images, they literally lengthened his finger. Look, they're not moving his hand, they're just making the finger longer.
Has he always been like this?
Oh, yes. He left the New York Military Academy declaring himself the greatest baseball player in New York State, and it went on and on and on.
He handed me his Purple Heart. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier.
If elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency.
Dr. Harold Bornstein told NBC News that a letter he signed praising Mr. Trump's physical condition was dictated by the patient himself.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million, and I had to pay him back with interest.
Mr. Trump received the equivalent today of at least $413 million from his father's real estate empire. Starting when he was a toddler, President Trump participated in dubious tax schemes during the 1990s, including instances of outright fraud that greatly increased the fortune he received from his parents.
Ownership has been transferred to Donald Trump?
Correct. That's correct.
In excess of 90% of the ownership, I believe?
I'd say in excess of 90. In fact, well, it's really closer to even the ultimate.
Donald Trump pretending to be someone named John Barron.
It doesn't sound like me on the phone.
An audio forensic expert disputed that in a 1990 lawsuit. Trump himself reportedly admitted under oath he has used that name.
He'll deny that it's him, even after he's admitted it's him.
Didn't sound like me, though, really. Over the years, I've used aliases.
What names did you use?
I actually used the name Barron.
Donald Trump lied to him about his wealth to get onto the Forbes 400 list, posing as his vice president of finance, John Barron.
We used to have at Forbes what we call the Donald Trump rule, which whatever Donald Trump tells you, you divide by 3, and that probably is what he's really worth.
How much was he really worth in 82, 83, and 84? And it was under $5 million. I put him down for $100 million. He should never have been there in the first place.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Robert Mueller's team say that Attorney General William Barr failed to adequately describe the findings of their investigation, and that these findings are actually more damaging for President Trump.
It was a complete and total exoneration.
With a growth mindset, you seek out challenges and criticism. You show your work to anyone offering critique to help you improve. A fixed mindset makes any challenge or criticism a threat, because failure or critique would be a permanent mark against your reputation. So you avoid challenges that might result in failure, and surround yourself with yes-men who do nothing but kiss your ass all the time.
It's not easy to upstage President Trump, but this high school kid sure did.
We're winning on trade. We're winning with our military.
As the big rally in Montana played on cable news, watch him smirking, doing double takes, and rolling his eyes behind the president's back.
Our country's thriving. Jobs are booming.
The goofball became a sensation on social media with the hashtag plaid shirt guy.
Well, before the rally, they told us that, you have to be enthusiastic, you have to be clapping, you have to be cheering for Donald Trump. They tried to make me and my friends wear the MAGA hats. Each time I see one of these rallies, I see people behind Donald Trump clapping and cheering and being super enthusiastic. And I've always wondered myself, are those people really being genuine? So when I got back there, I knew that I was going to be genuine. I was going to give my actual reaction to the things he said.
And halfway through the speech, a young woman came along and asked plaid shirt guy to take a hike. 5 minutes later, his two buddies were also given the boot. Their replacements, 2 attractive and enthusiastic Trump supporters.
We just learned that when the president, he spends a lot of time down on the Frowny Farm, but he receives a folder full of positive news about himself twice a day. Of course, Trump is a hard man to please, which is why the only feedback his staff has gotten on these folders is, it needs to be more positive. You know what? There just is not enough of that out there. So our in-house news team, Real News Tonight, is ready to help.
Welcome to Real News Tonight. I'm Jill Newslady. Our top story, President Donald Trump is very smart. The things he did today were good, and everyone loves him. Trump's like Mother Teresa or a meat-eating Gandhi with powerful arms. Thanks for that report, Lara.
Lara Trump, yet another incredible Trump.
Yes, Jim. A brilliant vessel for children with sacred Trump blood in their veins.
Man, I wish I was a Trump.
I hope to marry Barron.
With a growth mindset, you're only in competition with yourself. With a fixed mindset, your self-esteem depends on others being inferior to you. For you to be a winner, others must be losers.
My whole life has been about winning. I'm not like so many of the other people that you talk to that are essentially losers, okay? I know how to win. I intend to win. It's the best way of beating the Democrats.
If people I don't even know look at me and want to fuck me, it means I really have a shot at being a model. Which is great, because there's nothing worse in life than being ordinary.
The book describes an experiment by Stony Brook professor Sherry Levy, who measured the self-esteem of middle school boys. Then she asked them if they agreed with negative stereotypes about girls, like the idea that girls are less rational or bad at math. Not only were fixed-thinking boys more likely to agree with the negative stereotypes, when she measured their self-esteem a second time, it increased after agreeing that girls are dumb. Growth-oriented boys had no boost in self-esteem, even if they agreed with the negative stereotypes. This also explains the abundance of anonymous internet sock puppets who shit on everything. The anonymity of the internet gives them the satisfaction of dumping on losers without the risk of being personally identified as a loser who trolls online. The easier it is to post anonymous comments on a site, the more sock puppets it has. That's why 4chan and Reddit are the alt-right's favorite places online.
Studies have also documented a link between these individuals and antisocial behavior. So, are these individuals different in real life? Not likely. The studies suggest that these traits carry over into their regular day-to-day and reflect one's actual personality. But since the internet offers anonymity, antisocial individuals can connect with similar others while distancing themselves from their acts in terms of personal responsibility.
Lastly, while a growth mindset tries to forgive, a fixed mindset holds grudges and needs revenge. In a fixed mindset's framing, criticism is a permanent mark they can't change. But if they're going down, they're going to take you with them.
I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. You know, I love getting even with people, but...
You love getting even
Oh,
with
absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye? You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal.
But how do you define disloyalty?
Do
They
small
turn their back
things.
on you?
No, but they didn't do small things that would have helped.
No, you can't get away from hell's heart. I stab at thee.
As fun as it is to dump on Trump, I think there's a more important point here. You might think I'm saying a growth mindset motivates pro-social behaviors like cooperation, teaching, and asking for help, and a fixed mindset motivates antisocial behaviors like bragging, lying, cheating, stealing, bullying, and revenge. Yes. One of Dweck's experiments measured the mindsets of middle school students and asked them to imagine being bullied at school. Students with a growth mindset didn't see the bullying as a reflection of themselves, tried to forgive the bullies, and mostly hoped to help them become better people. Students with a fixed mindset agreed revenge was their primary goal, and talked about violent fantasies like running over the bullies in a car. It's a sobering thought when we remember the Columbine shooters Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold described their murders as revenge against their bullies. FBI psychiatrists concluded Harris wasn't after revenge, that he was a psychopath with a god complex who needed to feel superior to others. But superiority complexes aren't found in growth-oriented kids, much less megalomania. So the tragedy of the Columbine shooting might not have happened if their parents taught them a growth mindset. But you're not like that, right? Your mindset is growth. Batman all the way, baby, because you believe in yourself. No, what you're thinking of is confidence, and lots of people have that and fixed mindset. In fact, telling your child to believe in yourself isn't just unhelpful, it might make things worse. It doesn't help them understand how to practice or improve their skills. If anything, it leads them right back to the fixed mindset, where the ability came from the accident of their birth. It was inside you all along. Neither is a growth mindset just an open mind. You're not going to excel at your job because of that one time you experimented in college. Your mindset also isn't like a light switch. You don't have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. You have both at different times and to varying degrees. Some things are accidents of your birth, like your sexual orientation, skin, eye, or hair color. You can't think yourself taller.
This is the great secret.
Hey, I said we're not doing that! But barring that handful of things, you develop most things that matter in life, like your job skills, creativity, charisma, or likes on YouTube. The buttons down there, looks like this, helps me out a lot. Thanks. But what if you don't have kids? You don't have anything to worry about, right?
Nobody's stronger than me.
Nobody has better toys than I do.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do. There's nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had.
I think I'm much more humble than you would understand.
Trump doesn't count, does he? I mean, he's a big man baby. Isn't he an exception? Is Trump really the only person you know who behaves that way? Hey Hooligan, I'm glad you're enjoying the pilot episode of Refined Print. There was a lot I wanted to cover in this one, and I like to keep my videos under about a half hour, so I split the pilot up into a few parts. In part 2, I discuss why your boss is an asshole, groupthink, and some really bad dating advice, so I think you'll enjoy that as well. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Sam. If you laughed or you learned something, please hit that like button down below. It looks like this, and it helps me out quite a bit. Thanks. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell if you really want to subscribe. I mean, if you really want to be notified. And if you want to see more bloopers and sneak peeks and other special content, you can get that on my Patreon, link in the doobly-doo down below. I really enjoy making this comedy for you, and I plan to do it for a long time to come. Thanks for watching. I'm Sam, and I'll see you next time.